Don't you dare pretend you didn't know what you were doing, my mom screamed into phone, her voice so loud I had to hold it away from my ear. We're family. You can't just abandon us because your feelings got hurt. I sat in my home office, staring at the April rain hitting the windows of my Burlington townhouse, feeling a strange mix of numbness and rage. Everything I thought I knew about my family had just crumbled before my eyes, all because of a simple text message. My brother Kevin had accidentally sent it to our family group chat instead of the secret one he shared with our parents. My name is Jordan Wright. I'm 35 years old, and until yesterday, I thought I was just being a good daughter by helping my parents with their retirement expenses. I'd built a successful marketing consulting business from scratch after college. When it really took off 5 years ago, I started sending my parents extra money each month. They had always struggled financially, and I wanted to make sure they could enjoy their retirement without worrying about basic expenses. What I didn't know was how they really saw me. The family ATM just sent another $3,000. My brother had texted. My dad responded, "El Mayo, keep that gravy train running. She's too stupid to realize we're using her." Then my mother just bought those golf clubs your father wanted. Jordan would flip if she knew her money was going to those instead of Medic. The screenshots kept coming. Years of conversations about how to manipulate me, how to play on my sympathies, how to extract more money. I couldn't breathe as I scrolled through message after message. Kevin quickly tried to delete them, but it was too late. I had seen everything. 3 years of them laughing at my generosity, planning expensive vacations while telling me they couldn't afford their medications. Upgrading their cars while claiming their heating bill was overwhelming their budget. For the last day, my phone had been blowing up with texts and calls from my family. My dad swore they were just joking. My mom said I was taking things out of context. Kevin claimed he was just going along with it to stay on our parents' good side. But their own words had exposed the ugly truth. The rain intensified outside, matching the storm raging inside me. I had been financing their comfortable retirement for years, thinking I was helping them survive. Meanwhile, they had been living it up, laughing at how easily they could manipulate their stupid, successful daughter. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined. A sharp knock interrupted my thoughts. I crossed to the door, still clutching my phone, and looked through the peephole. Kevin stood on my porch, soaking wet, his expression pleading. I felt my jaw tighten. I wasn't ready for this conversation, but maybe it was time to hear what he had to say. After all, I had some things to say too. I opened the door, but blocked the entrance. "What do you want?" Kevin looked miserable, rain dripping from his hair. "Jordan, please, can I come in? I can explain everything." "Explain what?" I held up my phone, the screen still showing one of his texts. "How you've all been laughing at me for years. Just told Jordan Dad needs dental surgery." "And it's not what it looks like," Kevin pleaded, his voice cracking. "Mom and Dad, they started it, and I just went along with it." "So you were just following orders? Like some kind of financial Nazi?" The words came out harsher than I intended, but I couldn't stop myself. "I've been sending $3,000 every month, Kevin. That's $36,000 a year for 5 years. Do you know what that adds up to?" Kevin looked down. "I know it's a lot. $180,000, Kevin. And that doesn't include the extra for Dad's supposed medical expenses or Mom's broken furnace last winter." I felt sick saying the words, remembering how I'd skipped a vacation to send them an extra $5,000 for a furnace that apparently never needed replacing. "Look, they took it too far, I know," Kevin said, "but they're getting older and they're 65, not 95. I cut him off. Dad's still golfing every weekend with his fancy new clubs that I pay for while thinking he needed medication. I was shouting now, not caring if the neighbors heard. "Please, Jordan," Kevin said desperately. "They're freaking out. Dad's worried about his heart medication." I laughed bitterly. "The medication that doesn't exist? Or the real medicine he actually needs that I've been paying for while you all blow the money on luxury items?" Kevin's face crumpled. "I messed up. I know that. But they really do need your help now. All those extras, they've gotten used to the lifestyle. They can't afford their mortgage without you. Their mortgage on a lakeside condo they bought last year, I said coldly, while telling me they were struggling to pay rent on their modest apartment. A strange calm settled over me. I think you should leave. Jordan, please. No. I straightened my spine. I've been Jordan, please, for too long. Now I'm just Jordan. And Jordan is done. After Kevin left, I sank into my couch, my entire body trembling. The screenshots from their group chat played on repeat in my mind. Just told Jordan the roof is leaking. Let's see how much we can squeeze out of her this time. My mother had replied, she's such a sucker for helping family. I almost felt bad. Almost. Then Kevin said, maybe we should start a betting pool on how quickly she sends the money. I had been nothing but an ATM to them, a resource to be drained, a joke. I pulled out my laptop and logged into my banking portal. Every month for the past 5 years, there was $3,000 transferred to my parents' joint account, plus all the emergencies. Another $40,000 over the years. Dental work that never happened. Car repairs for problems that didn't exist. Medical bills for treatments they never received. And what had I sacrificed? I delayed buying my own home for 2 years to help them with their supposed mortgage troubles. I worked 60-hour weeks to afford both my life and theirs. I skipped vacations, bought secondhand furniture, and cut corners on my own life to make sure they were comfortable. For what? So they could laugh at me? So they could buy golf clubs and take cruises while I worried if they were eating properly? I opened another tab and logged into the investment account I had set up for them 3 years ago, my secret plan to surprise them with a supplemental retirement fund when they turned 70. I'd been contributing $1,000 monthly. The balance showed just over $42,000. My finger hovered over the close account button. Not yet. I needed a clear head for this. I called my best friend, Megan, who was also my attorney. They did what? She practically screamed when I explained the situation. I know, I said, my voice hollow. I've been an idiot. No, Jordan, you've been kind. They're the ones who should be ashamed. Her voice softened. What do you want to do? I don't know. I admitted. Part of me wants to just cut them off completely. Another part wants to confront them and hear them try to explain themselves. Before you do anything, we need to review what you've set up for them legally. Are they on any of your accounts? Insurance policies? The retirement supplement you mentioned? A chill ran through me. I hadn't even thought about all the ways we were financially entangled. Beyond the monthly transfers in the investment account, I had added them to my premium health insurance policy as dependents 2 years ago. My father's heart medication, which I now question the existence of, was covered under my plan. They were also beneficiaries on my life insurance policy. I need to untangle all of this, I realized aloud. One step at a time, Megan counseled. First, gather all the documentation of what you've given them, bank statements, texts asking for money, everything. Second, make a list of all financial connections you need to sever. Third, decide if you want to communicate with them about why you're doing this. As I hung up, my phone buzzed with a text from my mother. Your father is very upset. His blood pressure is through the roof because of your behavior. We need to talk now. Something inside me hardened. The manipulation was still happening, even now. They still thought I would fold, that I would come running the moment they mentioned a health concern. Not anymore. I opened my laptop again and began taking screenshots of every monthly transfer. Then I started a document titled Family Financial Support. 5 years, and listed every supposed emergency, every sacrifice I had made. By the time I finished, the document was 12 pages long. The truth was inescapable. I wasn't just hurt. I was done. The next morning, I woke up with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. My path forward was suddenly crystal clear. Before doubt could creep in, I called into work, telling my assistant I needed a personal day. This required my full attention. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. Jordan Wright speaking. Miss Wright, this is Samuel from Vermont Community Bank. I'm returning your call about closing an investment account. Yes. Thank you for getting back to me so quickly. I took a deep breath. I need to close a supplemental retirement account I set up for Robert and Patricia Wright. I see. May I ask if there's a problem with the account? No problem with the account, I said. Just a problem with the intended recipients. After confirming my identity and authority over the account, Samuel walked me through the process. Since I was the sole controller of the account, it had been intended as a gift. I could close it without my parents' knowledge or consent. The $42,680 will be transferred back to your primary account within 3 business days, he said. Is there anything else I can help you with today, Miss Wright? Actually, yes. I'd like to cancel all recurring transfers to the joint account belonging to Robert and Patricia Wright. Those are currently set at $3,000 monthly, correct? Correct. My voice didn't waver. I'd like that stopped immediately. Step 1. Complete. Next, I called my health insurance provider. This one was trickier. Mid-year changes to dependents required a qualifying life event, and discovering your parents had been scamming you wasn't on their list. But after explaining my situation to a sympathetic representative named Miguel, he found a solution. Since they have their own residence and you no longer provide more than 50% of their financial support, we can process this as a change in dependent status, he explained. They'll receive notification that they've been removed from your policy, effective at the end of the month, which gives them 30 days to find alternative coverage. That's perfect, I said. And just like that, the unraveling began. Thank you for understanding, I said. Family situations can be complicated. Miguel nodded kindly. Been there myself. Step 2 was complete. Changing the beneficiaries on my life insurance policy had been the easiest part, just a simple online form. By noon, I had systematically severed every financial tie to my family except one, my brother Kevin's student loan. For the past 3 years, I had been covering his $580 monthly payment, and he still had 2 years left. That one gave me pause. Kevin had been complicit in the deception, but he also seemed genuinely remorseful. Had our parents pressured him, or was he just sorry he got caught? My phone pinged with a text from Kevin. Kevin, Mom and Dad are freaking out. Dad says his prescription refill was denied at the pharmacy. What did you do? That answered my question. No apology, no understanding, just more pressure to restore the flow of money. Me, their consequences are not my problem anymore. Almost immediately, my phone rang. Kevin, I sent it to voicemail. Instead, I opened my email and attached the 12-page document I had compiled the night before, titling it simply, Financial Support Provided, 2018 to 2023. I read over the email one last time before hitting send. Subject, Financial Support Termination, Robert and Patricia. Attached is a comprehensive accounting of the financial support I have provided over the past 5 years, totaling $221,800. As of May 31st, my health insurance policy has been canceled. My retirement account has been closed. Your duplicity has been documented, including screenshots of your own messages, revealing how you systematically manipulated and deceived me while mocking my generosity. Do not contact me again unless it is to repay what you have taken under false pretenses. Jordan Wright. Step 3. Complete. Then, I blocked their numbers, removed them from my social media, and leaned back in my chair, exhausted, relieved. For the first time in years, my money was truly my own. I managed 3 days of blessed silence before they found a way around my blocks. The doorbell rang at 8:30 p.m. I was reviewing client proposals when I saw them through the peephole, my parents and Kevin. Their faces a mix of anger and panic. I didn't open the door. Instead, I called Megan. There at my house, I whispered, as if they might hear me through the walls. Do not let them in, she said firmly. If they don't leave, call the police for trespassing. That feels extreme. Trust me, Jordan. Once they're inside, it'll be much harder to get them out, physically and emotionally. The doorbell rang again, then pounding. Jordan, my father's voice boomed. We know you're in there. You can't just cut us off without talking to us. I sent a text to Kevin. Me, I have nothing to say. Please leave, or I'll call the police. Through the peephole, I watched Kevin check his phone and show it to our parents. A heated discussion followed. My mother seemed to be crying. My father's face had turned an alarming shade of red. Eventually they left, but not before my father shouted, "You're going to regret this, Jordan. We're family. You can't just abandon us." The irony of that word, abandon, wasn't lost on me. They had abandoned any pretense of love years ago. To them, I was nothing more than a resource to exploit. The next morning, the email started. My mother sent a long guilt trip about my father's declining health without his medication. My father sent a terse demand. Stop this childish behavior immediately. Kevin pleaded that they couldn't afford their mortgage without my help. I forwarded each message to Megan without responding. 3 days later, a certified letter arrived. Inside was a handwritten note from my mother. "Jordan, we don't understand why you're punishing us like this. Yes, we made some jokes in poor taste, but that's what families do. Your father's heart medication is $450 per month without insurance. Our mortgage is due next week, and we can't cover it without your help. We might lose our condo. Is that what you want? For your elderly parents to be homeless? Please stop this cruelty and talk to us." I nearly laughed at elderly. They were both 65 and in good health. My father's golf game had never been better. According to the country club photos Kevin had accidentally included in one of those fateful screenshots. Curious, I called a pharmacy, pretending to be my mother. "I'm calling about my husband Robert Wright's heart medication. What's the cost without insurance?" The pharmacist checked. "That would be $42 for a 30-day supply, Mrs. Wright, not $450. Another lie. That evening, Kevin showed up at my office as I was leaving. He looked terrible, dark circles under his eyes, clothes rumpled. "Jordan, please," he said, stepping in front of me. "They're falling apart. Dad's talking about bankruptcy." "That's not my problem," I said, stepping around him. "How can you be so cold? They're our parents." "Are they?" "Because real parents don't exploit their children. Real parents don't laugh behind their kids' back about how stupid and gullible they are. They made mistakes, but—" "No," I cut him off. "A mistake is forgetting a birthday. What they did was calculated and cruel. For years, Kevin, years. The condo is going into foreclosure," he said desperately. "They can't make the payments without you." I felt a momentary pang of guilt, until I remembered the screenshot. Just convinced Jordan we're struggling with rent. Meanwhile, we're closing on the lake condo next week. Cheers. "They shouldn't have bought a place they couldn't afford," I said flatly. "What about Dad's medication?" "You mean the $42 prescription, not $450? Kevin's eyes widened. "How did you—" "I did my research. No more lies, Kevin." I walked past into my car. "Tell them to look into government assistance programs. That's what they're there for." "Jordan," he called after me, "they're talking about moving in with me. I can't handle that." I turned back. "That sounds like a you problem, Kevin. Welcome to consequences." 2 weeks later, I was sitting in my therapist's office. Every day, I swing between feeling strong and feeling horrible. I admitted, like yesterday, I found out my parents had to cancel their country club membership. I actually felt guilty about it. For hours. Dr. Bennett nodded. "That's normal. You're grieving the family you thought you had. That includes grieving the role you played as their supporter. But they didn't deserve my support. They were using me." "Both things can be true," she said. "They didn't deserve your support, and you can still feel loss about no longer providing it." She was right. For 5 years, my identity had been wrapped around being a successful daughter who could support her parents. So who was I now? As I left my session, my phone buzzed. An unexpected caller, Uncle Pete. We weren't close, but I answered out of curiosity. "Jordan, it's your Uncle Pete. I just got a strange call from your father. He and your mother want to move in with us for a while. He said you cut them off financially, and they're about to lose their home. Is that true?" I sighed. "It's complicated, Uncle Pete." "I figured," he said dryly. "Your dad has always had a talent for selective storytelling. Want to tell me your side?" So I did. I explained everything. The screenshots, the lies about medical expenses. When I finished, there was a long silence. "I'm not surprised," he finally said. "Your father tried to pull similar stunts with me years ago. It's why we're not close. I refuse to fund his lifestyle." "You knew?" A wave of betrayal washed over me all over again. "Why didn't you warn me? Would you have believed me? They had you convinced they were struggling, and you were their hero. Sometimes people have to discover the truth themselves." He was right. I wouldn't have believed him. "For what it's worth," he added, "I told your father I wouldn't take them in. I suggested they downsize and live within their means." He hung up on me. After we disconnected, I felt strangely validated. I wasn't crazy for cutting them off. I wasn't a horrible daughter. I was just the latest target of their manipulation, and I'd finally wised up. That evening, I received a text from Kevin from a new number. "Kevin, Mom and Dad are moving into my spare room next week. They're selling the condo. Dad's furious about it. I can't believe this is happening." I didn't respond. 3 days later, another message. "Kevin, the condo is on the market. Dad's car got repossessed yesterday. This is getting really bad." I almost texted back. Almost asked if they needed help with moving expenses. But then I remembered a particular screenshot where Kevin had written, "Jordan just asked if Dad was doing okay after his doctor's appointment for the heart issue that doesn't exist." They had made their choices. Now, they were living with the consequences. Week 3 brought an email from a name I didn't recognize. Subject: Message from your parents. Apparently, they had enlisted a family friend to reach out since I had blocked them everywhere. The message detailed how they had been forced to sell most of their furniture, how my father's health was deteriorating from the stress, and how they had to apply for food stamps, something my proud father considered humiliating. The email concluded, "They just want a chance to talk to you, to explain and apologize." I considered it for all of 5 seconds before hitting delete. Their idea of an apology would be whatever they thought might turn the money faucet back on. I was done being manipulated, done being their ATM. For the first time in years, my money was going toward my future, not their pretend emergencies. The guilt was fading, replaced by something unexpected: freedom. 6 months after I cut off all contact, I arrived home from a business trip to find my parents sitting on my porch steps. My father had lost weight. My mother's carefully maintained highlights had grown out, revealing gray roots. They were both wearing clothes I didn't recognize, cheaper looking than their usual attire. My instinct was to turn around and drive away. But Dr. Bennett and I had discussed this possibility in therapy. I was stronger now. I could face them without being manipulated. I parked in the driveway and approached slowly, my heart pounding. "What are you doing here?" "Jordan." My mother's voice cracked. "Please, we just want to talk." "We've learned our lesson," my father added. "These past months have been hell." I unlocked my door. "You have 5 minutes." Inside, they perched awkwardly on my couch while I remained standing, arms crossed. "We're sorry," my mother began. "We never should have taken advantage of your generosity." My father nodded. "We've lost everything: the condo, the car, our savings. We had to move in with Kevin, and his place is so small your mother has to sleep on a pull-out couch." "The country club revoked our membership," my mother added. "All our friends there, they don't call anymore." "My medication costs have been terrible without your insurance," my father continued. "Medicare doesn't cover everything." I listened as they listed everything they had lost, waiting for an actual apology. It never came. "No, we're sorry we hurt you. No, we were wrong to mock you." Just a catalog of their hardships and the implied blame that I had caused them. "Is that it?" I asked when they finally fell silent. "We want to make things right," my mother said. "We've really suffered, Jordan. We've learned our lesson." "What lesson would that be?" They exchanged glances. "That we shouldn't have taken you for granted," my father finally said. "Translation: we should have been more careful about getting caught." "No," I said softly. "You haven't learned anything." "What do you mean?" my mother asked, her voice rising slightly. "We came all this way to apologize." "No," I said. You came all this way to tell me how much you've suffered without my money. Not once have you acknowledged how your betrayal made me feel. We said we're sorry, my father protested. For getting caught, maybe, not for what you did. I took a deep breath. In the past 6 months, I've thought a lot about what a healthy family looks like. It's not this. It's not treating your child like an ATM and mocking her behind her back. My mother's face hardened. So you're just going to keep punishing us over a few jokes? This isn't punishment, I said. This is me protecting myself from people who have shown they don't have my best interests at heart. We're your parents, my father said, as if that explained everything. And I was your daughter, not your personal bank. I moved toward the door and opened it. I wish you well. I really do. I hope you find a way to live comfortably within your means. But I can't be part of your lives anymore. You can't mean that, my mother whispered, tears forming. We need you. That's the problem. You don't need me. You need what I can provide. There's a difference. My father stood, anger replacing his earlier contrition. So that's it? After everything we've done for you? I tilted my head. What exactly have you done for me, Dad? Besides take and take and take. He had no answer. As they walked out the door, my mother turned back. You'll regret this, Jordan. Family is all you have in the end. I shook my head. No, Mom. Family is supposed to be the people who love you unconditionally. I've built that family with my friends. What you offer was just a transaction. I closed the door and leaned against it, listening to their footsteps retreat down the path. I expected to feel guilt or grief. Instead, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace. The ATM was permanently closed, and for the first time in my adult life, I was truly free.